There's a lot going on in Washington these days.
Between the immigration reform bill and the discussions about the recently leaked NSA surveillance programs, just to name a few. Diana Norman joins us once again live in studio with local congressman for more. Good morning, Diana.
Good morning, Sean and Kristen. Congressman Sean Duffy represents the 7th Congressional District here in the state, and he's certainly got quite a busy schedule with everything that's going on, both in Washington and, of course, here at home. Congressman, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Now, we've heard a lot about discussions with the NSA surveillance programs that were leaked, and you recently introduced a bill that looks at the data that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is collecting from Americans and other financial institutions. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Right. So a lot of us are concerned about what's happening with the NSA and all the data they're collecting. What a lot of Americans don't know is that this new agency that was created in Dodd-Frank, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, it's a great name, sounds wonderful, but what they're doing is they're collecting all of this financial data on Americans. It's a big data grab. It's on whether it's credit card transactions or your mortgages. They're taking it and they're saying they want to look at it to see how they can make better rules and regulations. The problem is every other agency that regulates and does this, they'll sample, just like a poll that you see in politics. Right. They'll sample data to get the good information. Not this agency. They're taking all of Americans' financial data. It's scary. So I have a bill coming out this week that'll actually prohibit them from doing that and go back into the sampling model that most other regulatory agencies use.
Okay, and going over to immigration, certainly a big topic. Once it gets through the Senate, it will go to the House. I understand the House is hopeful that there will be a bill that can kind of go toe-to-toe with that?
We hope there'll be legislation to fix this immigration issue. The problem with the Senate bill is, or my concern is, because it's a big bill, I haven't had a chance to look at it all, but the rumors that are coming out is that it doesn't effectively secure the border first. Before you have any immigration reform, I think we have to first stop the problem from happening again in the future, which means you have to secure the border. Once the border is secure, then we can look at how do we deal with people who have come here illegally, give them some form of legal status, and get them to the back of the line so they can, at one point, if they want, become a citizen. But to allow a legal status before we secure the border, we're messing up the steps. We did that in '86. It didn't work then. We'll have the same problem moving forward unless we get this right. Secure the border, number one. Number two, let's get people out of the shadows and let them get some kind of legal status.
Okay, and turning to the Farm Bill now, recently the House rejected it, and you had introduced an amendment focused on the forestry industry. Can you tell us about that? And I know you're going to a forestry conference today.
So today we have a forestry conference up in Carter. We're bringing in a whole bunch of folks to talk about the issue and the industry and the economy around forestry. But what I did is I introduced a bill. There's a lot of contracts that we can get in the federal forest that are stewardship contract. And when they contract using this system, the Forest Service gets all the money. What we wanted to do is have the local municipalities retain some of those dollars, 25%, so they can use the money for schools, roads, bridges, all the things that our communities use them for. And if you do that, you'll have a better partnership, and the program will be used more, which means we can get more board feet out of the forest, and it'll help our economy. So, but with regard to the Farm Bill, man, it was a little bit of a train wreck. It didn't pass out of the House. It looks like we're going to wait until next year again to see another Farm Bill come up.
And reanalyze it. And the forestry industry is pretty important to Wisconsin, correct?
Listen, if you look at the economy and how it relates to forestry, it's a huge deal. Right now, we're not able to get those forest contracts from the National Forest, which means it's affecting our loggers, our mills, and our economy as a whole. So it's very important. But on a different perspective, the Farm Bill, listen, our local farmers needed a Farm Bill that would work for them. I actually was not happy with the end product. It wasn't perfect, but it was reform in the right direction, I thought, so I actually voted for the legislation.
Okay, and I have to ask, just switching gears a little bit now, you're busy both in Washington, you're here at home, and last week your wife Rachel was just on The View. Not to mention you have kids. How do you make this busy schedule work?
Yeah, so she's on The View. She auditioned live before we got married about 12 times. She was a finalist several times. So they brought her on to guest host for a couple of days. It's a lot of fun to see. My wife, she's a stay-at-home mom with her 6 kids, but to be able to come from central Wisconsin and go out and sit with Barbara Walters and Whoopi and Sherry, it was a ball. And we just as she was going out to New York, I was coming home. So we have this gap time, and we're juggling the kids. But you know what? It's neat to be a stay-at-home mom and be able to go do that and give this central Wisconsin perspective on this national stage. So I was happy to see her there. It was exciting. Yeah. And she really enjoyed it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us this morning. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Sean and Kristen, back to you.